Sir, one question, Atul here.
Yeah, so
Sir, are you sharing the recording URL also?
yes, yes, yes. Recording also I'm going to share with you. So we'll will provide the access of my SharePoint, and from the
Okay.
SharePoint you can access my recorded session.
Okay, fine, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So what we'll do to first we'll understand the very basics. What is cloud computing? How it works? We'll understand the deployment model, like what is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. And then we'll understand the one more slide where we will do the comparison between on-premises with infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So it's a very basic services which Microsoft is offering. Apart from your infrastructure as a service or platform and software, again there are multiple services which we are going to focus, like firewall as a service, security as a service, active directory as a service. So there are multiple services Microsoft is offering, okay, on a Microsoft platform. So let's go with the first slide, and where we will understand the cloud computing. So cloud computing is nothing but it's a data center, and that particular data center is offered by, managed by, monitored by the Microsoft. Like when you do the comparison between your on-premises infrastructure into the on-premises, like you're managing your data center with the help of multiple teams. Okay, so this is the scenario. In your on-premises, like you have multiple pieces, right? Networking, storage, you have servers, virtualization, operating system, then middleware, runtime, data, and application. So to manage that particular stack, you have the multiple teams, right? So network team is managing the network, storage is team is managing the storage, server team is managing the servers. Your virtualization team like VMware and Hyper-V managed by virtualization team. You have the OS team, okay, for to manage the Windows and Linux. Then again, you have middleware, runtime, data, application team as well. You have the database team as well to manage the SQL and Oracle. So when you compare with the on-premises, everything you manage by your teams. And again, after that, your management or your client is expecting the maximum uptime from the infrastructure. So when we compare with the cloud, so with Microsoft or AWS, so they are also providing the same kind of infrastructure where we can build our infrastructure. Like if we take the example of infrastructure as a service, like we can deploy our virtual machine into their premises. Okay, so when we say we can deploy the virtual machine, to deploy the virtual machine, again we would require some infrastructure, right? We would require networking, we would require storage, servers, virtualization. On top of that, then we can deploy the virtual machines, either Windows or either Linux as per the application requirement. So what cloud is saying, when you deploy the infrastructure at their end into the Microsoft data center, the each and everything, okay, like networking or storage or servers or virtualization, maintained and monitored by the Azure or Microsoft. Okay, so after that, when you deploy the virtual machine, top up of virtualization, so you are the owner of your virtual machine and operating system and your application and data. Okay, so this is the segregation when you compare your on-prem with your infrastructure as a service. So in on-premises, everything you're managing from networking to application, but into the Azure thing with infrastructure as a service, from your networking to virtualization, means networking, storage, servers, virtualization, which is managed by your Microsoft. Okay, if you use the Azure, if you use the AWS, then each and every component managed by your AWS. Then Microsoft is offering platform as a service as well, where the complete platform managed by Microsoft. Okay, so I can give here one more example, under which is comes under platform as a service, and that example is nothing but Azure SQL. Okay, so if I ask like I need a one SQL server, okay, to deploy the application. So as a regular practice, what we can do, we will deploy the one Windows machine. Top of a Windows machine will deploy the SQL, and then the particular virtual machine will hand it over to the application team or SQL team. But when you compare with the platform as a service, Microsoft is offering the serverless SQL, where we are not going to manage the Windows infrastructure, where we are not going to monitor the Windows, where we are not going to patching the Windows, everything managed by Microsoft. Okay, which is comes under platform as a service. So when we say platform as a service, as a user, as a customer, as a client, we are going to use only the application and data, and that application is nothing but my SQL. So we are going to manage only the SQL, we are going to manage only the data. Okay, so when we compare platform as a service with the infrastructure as a service, under infrastructure we are managing our operating system. Okay, under platform as a service we are not managing, that particular OS is managed by Microsoft. So let's go with the next one, which is software as a service. So software, under software as a service, everything managed by Microsoft. So again, Office 365 is a good example of software as a service, where everything managed by Microsoft. Okay, so just you need to purchase the licenses from the Microsoft. Okay, once you log in into the office.com, you will get the required options, required applications as per your licensing. So under software as a service, everything managed by Microsoft, from networking to application. Even though you are not going to manage your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, okay, without installing Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can use your Office suite as well. You can use the SharePoint, you can use the Visio, you can use your OneNote, everything you can manage, everything you can use it, which is comes under software as a service. So apart from infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, again there are multiple services like firewall as a service, a load balancer as a service, application gateway as a service, WAF as a service, storage as a service, DR as a service, backup as a service. So those services also we are going to focus into our course. Okay. So any question till, any doubt, any question till? Irfan, any question from your side?
Yeah, I have one question. So, what is the middleware?
See, middleware is a one application layer, okay, where you
Okay.
can manage your data. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Irfan, your voice is breaking. Okay, so let's go with the next point, where we will discuss the basics things and then we'll start the infrastructure as a service. Okay, so our focus will be Azure AZ-104, Azure AZ-303. Okay. Okay, so first we'll understand the prerequisites, where we can configure the Azure account. Okay, and then we'll demonstrate how we can have the Azure account, Azure subscription, and then we'll start the infrastructure as a service concept. Okay, which is your first service. So what is the prerequisites? Okay, to create the account on a Microsoft portal. So Microsoft, your AWS and Google, which is comes under public cloud. So what is public cloud? That particular infrastructure is publicly available. So anyone can create an account on their portal. Anyone can deploy the services. Anyone can deploy the resources as per our requirement, and we can use those resources as per our business need or business requirement. Okay. If you're saying, let's see, I need a one virtual machine for next 1 month for the short-term project. So yes, we can have the virtual machine for 1 month. Once that project is completed, we can delete that particular infrastructure. So what is the benefit you will get here? You are going to pay as per your uses. Okay. And that particular concept comes under pay as you go. So when you say pay as you go, let's take up example like you have deployed one virtual machine and that virtual machine having 2 CPU and 4 GB memory. Okay, with some 100 GB disk. So you are going to pay as you are using. Okay. So, and that particular thing you are going to pay with the hourly basis. So there are some services where Microsoft is charging on an hourly basis, like for example virtual machine. So virtual machine charges will be applied on a hourly basis. So if you use the particular virtual machine for 2 hours, 3 hours, means you are paying for 1 hour, 2 hour only. You are not going to pay for 1 month. So this is a pay as you go concept where you are paying as per your requirement and as per your uses. So what is the prerequisites to configure the Microsoft account, to configure the account on Microsoft portal? The prerequisite here is we should have a unique email address. Okay, so from my side, like I have already account on Microsoft portal. So I am using my account, which is Cloud Techno Pune@outlook.com. Okay, so I'm using here my account, which is outlook.com. So you can use your office account, you can use your personal account as well. Okay, you can use your Gmail account, Yahoo account, Rediff account, your office account as well. Okay, you can use it. But in my scenario, I'm using my Outlook account. So this is the first prerequisite to configure or to create the account on a Microsoft portal. So when you say like I need a portal or I need access of with the Microsoft services, so when you logged in into the account or when you create an account, by default, Microsoft will provide a 30 days trial. Okay. In your 30 days trial, Microsoft will give here 13,300 as a credit. And that particular 13,300 you can utilize in a 1 month and you can do your basic labs and your practice. Once your 13,000 or your account is get expired after 1 month, then you need to convert your account or then you need to convert your subscription into the pay as you go model. So we'll understand today what is subscription, how it works, how to configure. So the free account, free subscription, you are going to use for only the 1 month. After 1 month, you need to purchase or you need to do the migration. What is migration? So current subscription you are migrating from free to chargeable basis. Okay, and once you convert your subscription from free to pay as you go, then you are going to pay every month because Microsoft will generate the bill on every month as per your utilization. So if you do the pay as you go, if you do the practice, so you are not going to pay more than 300 rupees. Okay, but you need to take care, like once you done the practice or lab, you need to delete the infrastructure. Okay, if you are keeping that infrastructure as it is, then Microsoft will not stop the billing. Okay, if you wanted to stop the billing, then you need to delete the complete infrastructure once you perform the labs. So this is the first requirement where I'm going to use my account, which is cloudtechnopune@outlook.com. What is the next requirement? We should have the credit card details. Okay, so why credit card details are required here? For the verification purpose only. Okay, so during the first account, okay, let's see, free account, free subscription, at that time only Microsoft will deduct the 2 rupees from your account and immediately again Microsoft will credit 2 rupees as well. So that particular transition Microsoft is doing for only the verification purpose, like your credit card is in running mode. Okay, is in active mode. So this is a second requirement. Now third requirement, you should have valid mobile number.
Hello. I have one question. I just ask you.
Yes.
So it's a credit card. It's mandatory or it's a debit card. both way?
See, is a credit card is a mandatory. Okay.
Okay.
If you're trying to configure an account by using the debit card, okay, Microsoft
Okay.
will not accept any debit cards. In
Okay.
enterprise scenario, yeah, in enterprise scenario, you can map your saving accounts. Let's see, I wanted to configure the one subscription and one account for my company, right? So into that scenario, you can bind your account with your current account, company current account. Okay. But
Okay.
as a user, as a user, or as a for the testing purpose, like we should have the credit card only. Okay. To use
Okay.
the pay as you go or free subscription.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any question till? Okay, so with the free subscription, like you are going to spend 13,300 rupees, okay, which Microsoft is offering, okay, for 1 month. So this is a prerequisites. Once you configure the account, okay, you will get the free subscription. So let's understand the next concept. And under the next concept, we are going to discuss how Microsoft is acting in the backend when you create an account on Microsoft portal. Okay. So let's go into the another. Okay. So this is the email address. This is the email address. Okay. So when you configure the account or when you create an account on Microsoft portal by using your unique email address, at that time only Microsoft is deploying one Azure Active Directory in the backend. So it's very important concept we are discussing here. Azure Active Directory. Azure AD. So don't compare your Azure Active Directory with the Windows Active Directory. Okay. So Windows Active Directory is more responsible to manage your on-premises infrastructure, but Azure Active Directory Microsoft is deploying, okay, for the cloud management only. Okay. So what is cloud management? Let's see, if you wanted to deploy some applications. So those applications you can authenticate from the Azure Active Directory. Okay. So Azure Active Directory we can use as a identity management as a service as well. You can create a users, you can create a groups, you can have the conditional policies. So you can do the restrictions as well, like your group policies. Each and everything you can do under the Azure Active Directory. So Azure Active Directory will be the first component from your subscription and from your account. So without Azure Active Directory, you will not able to deploy any resources or any services, we can say. Like if you wanted to deploy virtual machine, you should have the complete hierarchy, which we are going to discuss today. So Azure Active Directory will be the required component from your account, and that particular Azure Active Directory is getting created automatically in the backend when you create an account on Microsoft portal. Okay. So when you do the account or when you create an account, by default Microsoft is using .on Microsoft.com. So this is a default domain. This is a default parent domain which Microsoft is offering, which is on Microsoft.com. So every time you will get the same domain on Microsoft.com. Okay, as a child domain, Microsoft is using our email address only. Okay, so in my scenario, okay, my child domain is Cloud Techno Pune Outlook. Okay, so this is my child domain and this is my parent domain. That particular Active Directory is getting created in the backend automatically. Okay, Cloud Techno Pune Outlook.on Microsoft.com. So on Microsoft.com will be the common each and every time in my scenario and in your scenario as well. So when you work with the enterprise, so in that scenario also Microsoft is offering the same domain which is on Microsoft.com. So into the next classes, okay, we will understand like how we can have the multiple Azure Active Directories, how we can integrate the multiple Azure Active Directories, how we can communicate it. So those options we are going to discuss into the next classes. But for the today, Just first we need to understand the Azure Active Directory is getting created in the backend with Cloud Techno Pune Outlook.onmicrosoft.com, and under that Azure Active Directory we can have the users, we can have the policies, we can have the groups, we can have the custom domains as well. Okay, so those are all the options we are going to discuss into the next classes, next sessions. So this is the @. Okay, so we can create a users, we can create a group. So like for example, user1 @cloud techno pune outlook.onmicrosoft.com, user2 @cloud techno pune outlook.onmicrosoft.com. So your domain will remain same, cloud techno pune outlook.onmicrosoft.com. So any question till, any doubt till? Any doubt, any question?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the current domain is mandatory. If I want to create my officially domain, like you told me, just cloud techno outlook.com, and dot on Microsoft.com. It's if I want to send someone mail, that will go to dot Microsoft.com on Microsoft.
No. What you need to do in that scenario, I got your question. So in that scenario, you need to configure your custom domain name. Like for example, in my scenario, I have cloudtechno.co.in, which is registered domain. Okay. So that particular registered domain we need to configure under that Active Directory, and then we can use our Exchange or we can use the Office 365 product. Okay. So without Azure Active Directory, you cannot have the Office 365 product. Okay. So into the next Azure Active Directory concept, Azure Active Directory scenario sessions, we will discuss that as well, like how we can synchronize on-prem Windows Active Directory with the Azure Active Directory.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and one more thing, whenever I create our domain cloud, Azure Active Directory, so my domain is supports www. It's sybase.com only. Correct?
No. See. You are on different way. Okay. You are asking the question with the different way. See. So now just we are talking on an authentication purpose. Okay. We are not talking on any website like www.savage.com or www.cloudtechno.co.in. Okay. So here just we are talking like how Microsoft is doing the authentication. Okay. Or how we can use the authentication mechanism, because authentication is a very important component. Okay. When you work with the cloud platform, right? So there are multiple ways to configure with the authentication mechanism. Okay. So this is the default way which Microsoft is offering. Okay. So let's take an example. I have one Azure subscription. And I wanted to provide the access to you, okay, of my Azure subscription. So I have multiple options. Either I can create one account for you, xyz @cloudtechnopune outlook.onmicrosoft.com. I can provide the user ID and password, and you can log in into the my subscription and you can use my subscription. This is the first way, which is very common way. Okay. But if you're asking, no, I don't want a user ID with on Microsoft.com. I don't want the user ID with the your domain. I need access on my Gmail account. I need access on my company account. So in such scenarios, I need to provide the access to your account as a guest access. Okay. So your Gmail account, your company account will be the guest for my subscription. Okay. So there are multiple ways. Okay. And those ways we will discuss in depth during the Azure Active Directory concept. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, one question, small. Only that Outlook.com, that mail ID you mentioned, that is for our personal purpose or official purpose also is compulsory required?
No, see, just try to understand. See, that particular account as my personal account. So when you compare with the enterprise scenario, okay, let's go into the enterprise scenario. So let's take an example. You're working with IBM and you have one email address which is ABC dot xyz at the rate ibm.co.in. Okay, and you're from finance team, and you're planning to purchase, or you're planning to adopt the Microsoft Azure. Okay,
Right.
so as a finance lead, as a finance head, you are going to use your email address, okay, to configure the Azure account. Okay,
Okay.
so once you purchase, or once you create the account on Microsoft portal by using the your account, you need to provide the access to other users as well. Like you, as a finance head, you're not going to work on Azure platform, right? Your team
Right.
will work, right? So in such scenarios, you need to provide those permission, or you need to hand it over to those permission to your other required members. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's go into the our diagram. Okay, so this is the Azure Active Directory, okay, which is getting created automatically in the backend with the on Microsoft.com. And when you create an account, okay, by using your Office ID or your personal ID, by default Microsoft is providing the account admin permission. Okay, so account admin permission by default you will get here. So when you say account admin permission, means you can manage the complete show, you can manage the complete account here, and that particular account admin will only one you can have, only one account admin. Okay, so this is a default permission you will get when you create a account on Microsoft portal, which is account admin. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to hand over, or you need to hand it over that particular permission to someone. Okay, so let's go with the next point, Azure Active Directory. And under the Azure Active Directory, then you are going to create a subscription. So subscription is nothing but it's a logical boundary. So go to the subscription. So we'll discuss on free subscription. Free subscription. So subscription you are going to create, means Microsoft will create by default, and that particular subscription will be the part of your Azure Active Directory. If you ask me, I wanted to deploy, or I wanted to create one subscription, so can we create a subscription without Azure Active Directory? No. Your subscription you can create with the Azure Active Directory only. At least you should have one default Azure Active Directory to create a subscription. So subscription is nothing but it's a logical boundary to generate the bill from Microsoft. So what Microsoft is doing, Microsoft is generating the bill on every month. Okay, so Microsoft will generate the bill on subscription level. Let's compare with the your existing scenario, right? In into the Maharashtra, like there is a MACB. So when you purchase the MACB meter, that MACB is generating the bill on every month. Okay, at that time only MACB is offering one customer ID as well. With the same way, Microsoft is offering here subscription ID. Subscription ID, and subscription ID will be the unique, okay, into the Microsoft infrastructure. So if I purchase a subscription, if I create a subscription, immediately Microsoft will allocate one subscription ID, and my account, my bill will generate on a subscription basis only. So if you raise a ticket with Microsoft, okay, for any issue, and at that time only you need to provide the subscription ID. So without your subscription ID, Microsoft will not able to provide the support as well. Okay, so subscription name can be a rename anytime. We can have multiple subscriptions, we can rename the subscription as well as per our requirement. But if you ask me, can we edit the subscription ID, the answer will be a no. So subscription ID is a number, and that particular ID is auto generated, auto provided by Microsoft only to that particular subscription. Okay, so the subscription is a logical boundary, okay, to generate the bill. So under the subscription, let's go here. Under the subscription, again, we can have a multiple resource groups. So let's try to understand the resource group. So resource group is nothing but my directories resource group. Okay, let's compare with the Windows. So let's take an example. You wanted to copy some data from your USB hard drive to your computer or laptop, right? So you're not going to copy the data on D drive directly. You are going to create a one directory, right, as per requirement, and under that directory you are going to copy some data. With the same way, the resource group is a container, a resource group is a directory, and under that container you are going to deploy the resources, like virtual machine as a resource, network as a resource, firewall as a resource, load balancer as a resource, storage account as a resource. So those resources you are going to create under the resource group. So resource group is a container, resource group is a directory, we can say, in the term of Microsoft, in the term of Windows. And under that resource group you are going to create your resources. So one more point I wanted to highlight, which is very important. The resource group is completely mapped with the two objects. The first object is subscription. The first object is the subscription, and second object is the location. So location is a very important. So now I'm talking on physical data center. Okay. So Azure data center, I'm talking the location. Okay. So that location you need to select. So let's take an example. I'm from India and I wanted to migrate some infrastructure from SBI or from Master Bank to the Microsoft Azure. So as per governance, as per India governance, okay, as per compliance, I cannot keep my data out of India. So I have to deploy my infrastructure within the India only. So when you say within the India, Microsoft having 3 data centers in India, like Central India, West India, and South India. Okay. So when we create a resource group, we need to select the location as well. When we create a resource group, we need to select the location as well. And as per the location, Microsoft will generate the bill on a subscription level. Okay. So if you create a resource group here, let's take an example. You have created resource group RG1, and that resource group you have created in Central India. Okay. And under that resource group, you have created one virtual machine. You have deployed one virtual machine, and that virtual machine having 2 CPU and 4 GB memory. Okay, with default storage, which is 127 GB disk. Okay, which is your C drive. Okay. And when you create that resource group under the Central India, means Microsoft will charge, okay, as per the Central India costing. Okay, so you will get the different type of costing, okay, in each and every data center. If you are getting any virtual machine, okay, under the Central India with, let's say, 3 rupees per hour, so the same virtual machine might be you will get the costly in other region. Like I can give here one example. So when I deploy the resources under the East US is a very cheaper compared to Central India. Why? What is the reason? The management cost will be the very high in India compared to US. That's why. Okay. So if I deploy the virtual machine under the East US with the 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, I need to pay there 2 rupees 70 paisa per hour. But the same virtual machine, if I deploy under the India region, like West India or South India or your Central India, so approx I need to pay 3 rupees 20 paisa per hour. So it's completely depend on your management cost from that particular location, that particular country. Okay. So any question here, any doubt related Azure Active Directory or subscription or resource group? Any question? Any question?
Yogesh, Irfan here.
Yeah. Yeah, Irfan.
So I just wanted to understand. We have enrolled for a free subscription, and that period expires.
Right.
For example, so like, again, if you want to create a new ID, then does it require to be a Hotmail ID only, or we can use any other ID? And in the
No,
backend,
you.
does it check your credit card number?
Yes, yes. From the see, in your scenario, like let's take an example. You have created one Azure account, okay, with the free subscription, okay, like xyz@outlook.com, okay, and you have completed your 1 month, and again you need a one more free subscription. So what I recommend, so you should have a new email address, new credit card, and new mobile number as well. Then you will get the trial subscription, free trial subscription, because sometimes Microsoft is checking the credit card details as well from the backend, okay, and they are checking like that particular credit card is already typed with the one free subscription. At that time, might be you will not get the free subscription.
Yeah, that's what. If you have that registered number with that subscription,
Yes.
even if you have different email ID, it will not allow you.
Yes, yes, yes. It will not allow. So what you need to do as a best practice, just add one more subscription with the pay as you go model. See, if you are not using that subscription at all, Microsoft is generating the bill with 0 rupees every month, because I have multiple subscription. So out of multiple subscription, I'm not using like 2 or 3 subscription. So every month Microsoft is generating the bill with the 0 rupees only. Okay, so you can use pay as you go subscription where you can do each and every lab, you can do the actual practice, actual hands-on, and once your lab is completed, then immediately you can delete the infrastructure. Okay, because we are using pay as you go model, that's why. Okay. So let me
So
demonstrate.
under pay as you go,
Huh?
can we add a free subscription under pay as you go if we
No,
select that, and
no,
under that?
no, 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 no. And see, under the Azure Active Directory, see, there's a type of the subscription which we are talking, right? So if you take the example here, okay, let me copy the same diagram with the different paint. Okay, let's take up example like I have account and I got the free subscription. Okay. Free subscription, and you use that free subscription 30 days. And your subscription is expired after 30 days, right? So what you need to do, you need to add one more subscription. Let's see, subscription one, which is pay as you go. Pay as you go, and then you can deploy your resources, you can manage your account. So automatically Microsoft will not convert your free subscription with the pay as you go. You have to add pay as you go subscription manually. Okay, if you ask me, okay, like what about the credit card? So when you add here one more subscription under the same account, under the same Azure Active Directory, automatically Microsoft will pick up the credit card details from free subscription to pay as you go subscription. No need to provide any credit card details or any mobile ID or mobile detail, because you are creating a one more subscription under the same Azure Active Directory and under the same account. That's why. Okay. So any question till Irfan?
So if you created this pay as you go in US,
Ha.
and now you want to move to India, then
No, 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 no. See. Subscription you are not creating under the US or under the India. So subscription doesn't require any region. Subscription doesn't require any location. So subscription and your Azure Active Directory will be the global objects. Okay, which is getting replicated with the multiple locations. Okay, so to create a subscription, location is not required. So when you create a resources, then location comes in the picture.
okay.
Okay. Okay. So there are multiple types of the subscription, like free subscription, pay as you go. Then you will get the developer subscription. You will get the Visual Studio subscription as well. So I'm using the Visual Studio subscription. Okay, where Microsoft is giving 10,000 rupees per month under my subscription. Okay, because I'm authorized Microsoft certified trainer. Okay, so after that Microsoft has provided me the subscription, which is Visual Studio subscription, enterprise subscription. Okay, let me demonstrate. So this is my account, and under that account, see, this is my default ID, cloudtechnopune@outlook.com. Okay, if I go under Azure Active Directory, so let's search Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory, and under Azure Active Directory, you will get the default directory. See, Cloud Techno Pune Outlook. This is a default directory, and that particular directory Microsoft has generated. So let's take up example, like your client is saying, I don't want that particular name. I need xyz.onmicrosoft.com, abc.onmicrosoft.com. Let's see hdfc123.onmicrosoft.com. We can create a multiple tenants. So Azure Active Directory is acting as a tenant. Okay, and we can have the multiple tenants. Okay, under the single account. So see, this is my primary domain, cloudtechnopune.onmicrosoft.com. So there is an option where we can configure the custom domain as well. Let's see, I wanted to purchase the Office 365 product. So without Azure Active Directory, you cannot have Office 365. Here, then I can add the multiple my custom domain. Let's see ibm.co.in. Okay, let's see xyz.com. In my scenario, cloudtechno.co.in. This is the registered domain. Okay, with the GoDaddy. So I can add those domains and I can enable my services like Office 365. I can use it. So this is the Azure Active Directory where we can create a users, where we can create a multiple groups as well. We can provide the privileges. Okay, so each and everything we are going to discuss into the next sessions. So let's go with the subscription. So now currently I'm having two subscriptions. See, this is my production subscription, and that particular subscription is nothing but my pay as you go subscription. And this is a Visual Studio Enterprise subscription which Microsoft has provided me to demonstrate the each and every lab. Okay, so let's go into the production subscription which I have. See, this is the offer is a pay as you go offer. Okay, so under that you will get option.
Sir.
Yes,
Arjun here.
Yeah, Arjun.
Sir, can you just show us from start, means how to create a subscription and how to create a ID? Because whenever we create a ID, how to create a new subscription? Can you please show the steps?
So that particular demonstration will not able to demonstrate because I have already account. Okay, but I will give the steps like how you can create an account on Microsoft portal.
Okay.
Okay. If any question, you can ping me on WhatsApp. Okay. If any issue, okay, during the addition of the subscription or account. Okay, so we'll give the link as well, like how we can do it. Okay, so under the invoices, you'll get the complete invoices here. See, this is the utilization. Okay, so 3,000 rupees, 3,000, 1,200, 2,200, 1,400, 51, 3,800, 300. See, so see, this is the 0 rupees bill because I have not used that particular subscription into that particular month. That's why it is showing 0 rupees. Okay, so if you're just, I wanted to show like if you're not utilizing the resources, then no need to pay single rupees to the Microsoft. It's a very straightforward. If you're using, if you're utilizing, then you have to pay. If you're not utilizing, then Microsoft will generate the bill with the 0 rupees every month. And why credit card is required with the pay as you go model? Once Microsoft has generated the bill, automatically that particular bill is getting deducted from your credit card straight away. So Microsoft will not take any permission or Microsoft will not take any authorization from your side, okay, to deduct the amount. And that's why credit card is required. Okay, and that's why Microsoft is not accepting the debit cards. Okay, so debit cards you can use with the AWS. Okay, but Microsoft is not accepting. Okay, so this is the infrastructure, this is the subscription. We can compare with the Visual Studio subscription as well, where 10,000 is getting credited every month under that particular subscription. See, the offer is different. This is the MSDN offer. Okay, and this is a current utilization. So go to the invoices. So there is no invoice because this is the first month. Okay, where I'm using the Visual Studio subscription from Microsoft. Okay, so any question till, any doubt till subscription till?
Hi Yogesh, this is Sagar.
Yes, Sagar.
Like you said before that you have multiple accounts already created
Right.
in Microsoft for Microsoft account for Azure,
Right.
and
Right.
those few accounts you are which you are not using, so you are getting ₹0 bill in every
Right.
month for that,
Right.
correct?
Right.
So if you are not using, for example, if I also have the same multiple accounts and I am not using for that, means shall I permanently remove these accounts?
Yes, yes, you can close. See, you can cancel the subscription. See, let's take an example like pay as you go subscription. I'm not using. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, so there is option to cancel the subscription. So you can cancel the subscription. Then Microsoft will not generate the bill as well.
Okay, but my account is always there.
Yes, yes, yes. Account will be there. Azure Active Directory will be there, but account you will get without subscription.
Okay, okay. So if I want to delete account as well, is it possible?
Yes, yes, yes. This is also possible. Yes, you can delete the account as well. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, even though the subscription can be a transferable as well. So let's take up example. I am using my Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, or I'm using my pay as you go subscription, and I wanted to transfer the subscription under your account. I can transfer.
Okay.
Okay. They
Yeah.
changed, even though we can change the directory as well. See, directory is nothing but, see, this is the directory. So my pay as you go subscription is created under that directory. So this is a one-to-one mapping. Okay, let me note it down into the paint. You will get the more idea. So Azure Active Directory, Azure subscription, or any, let's see, pay as you go subscription. Pay as you go subscription. This is a one-to-one mapping. Okay, means your single subscription can have a single Azure Active Directory. If you ask me, sir, I have two Azure Active Directory. Let's see, in our scenario, what is the exact domain name? Let me copy. So this is the exact my directory name, right?
Yes.
Let's delete it. Okay, cloud techno pune outlook.on microsoft.com means that particular subscription is getting registered under that Active Directory, right? So let's take up example. I have here one more Active Directory, one more tenant under the same account, and the tenant is nothing but SBI 123 dot microsoft.com. Okay, so if you ask me, sir, I wanted to use a same tenant for that particular subscription, so can I map two Active Directories to the single subscription? Answer will be a no. This is a one-to-one mapping. Okay, from the subscription side. Okay, let's try to understand. From the subscription side, this is a one-to-one mapping, but you can have a multiple subscription under the single account, single Active Directory. Now I have Prod. Let's see, pay as you go. Okay, and I have here one more subscription, and that subscription is nothing but my Visual Studio, right? See. So Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. Okay. So the single Active Directory is mapped with the two subscription. So from the Azure Active Directory, you can have multiple subscription under the single AD. But from the subscription point of view, you can have only the single Active Directory only. Means you cannot map a single subscription to the multiple Azure Active Directory. You got the concept or any doubts, any confusion?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah. Irfan, any question?
No, Yogesh.
Sir, if a subscription you say we can transfer or we can give to another person.
Right, right.
In that case, whatever the virtual machine or resources we have created, that also goes to that person.
Yes. See what you need to do as a process. Uh, when you transfer the subscription to different account, you need to authorize that particular acceptance from the other account as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're not accepting that request, then you will not able to transfer your subscription to other account.
Yeah, authentication process will be there, but
Yeah.
I want to just transfer my subscription, but I want to
Mhm.
keep my whatever lab I have created. I want to keep
No,
in my account.
no,
It's not
no,
not possible.
no, no, no. When you say you're transferring the subscription means you are transferring your resources as well.
Resources as well. Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, because resources is a part of your subscription only, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
we
So,
can have,
point,
yes,
Yogesh, one more point just to clarify.
yeah,
Let's say as you created a subscription, you must be getting one global admin ID to be
right,
created, right? Which
yes,
will
yes, yes, yes.
manage
Your voice is not getting, Irfan.
the entire infra. Suppose I deleted or I lost that account. So
Mm-hmm.
is it possible for my hello? So if that
Yes.
account is lost or
Mm-hmm.
deleted, so can Microsoft recover that?
See, Microsoft will not able to recover that account because the same problem we have faced with one of my customer, one of my client. So what you need to do, you need to give the email approval, okay, to the Microsoft, okay, and after that Microsoft will create a one more global account, okay, for you, and you can use that global account.
Hello.
Hello, yeah. Okay, so we can have maximum 200 subscription, okay, under the single account. Under the single account. So Arjun was asking like the number of subscription. So we can have 200 subscription under the single account, and we can use those subscription. Okay. So let's understand like why we need a multiple subscriptions. Okay. So before that, I wanted to demonstrate the one more thing, the locations. Let's go Google Azure locations. So let's go here, data center. Just give me 1 minute. Okay? Okay, so let's go here. Okay, see, this is the free subscription which Microsoft is showing. The 12 months you can use, and you will get the 13,300 credited, okay, under their subscription, okay, and you can use it, okay, as a free account. So this is the link, okay, and where you can start the free, okay. So once you click here, so Microsoft will ask the user ID and password, okay, and that user ID and password you need to provide. Then again into the next step, Microsoft will ask the other details as well, like name, location, address, credit card details. You need to provide all the details, and then you can have the Microsoft account and Microsoft subscription. So I was checking the regions, okay, so this is the region. Okay, so see, now we are talking on India, right? Select geography, India, and under the India, Microsoft having 3 data centers, like Central India, which is located in Pune, South India located in Chennai, and West India, which is located in Mumbai. And all 3 data centers have started in 2015. Okay, we can compare with the United States. Okay, let's go here, United States, and now into the US. Microsoft having the multiple data centers, like Central US, like East US, East US. So in East US, Microsoft having 2 data centers, which is in Virginia. So first data center started 2012, then second data center started 2014. So this is a very old one, which is 2009. Okay, which is your North Central US. See, South Central, West Central, West US, West US 2. Okay, and this is the one more data center. Okay, and that data center will be start into the 2021. Okay, so any question till any doubt?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before creating any, selecting any location, we
Haha.
have to check that those history, whatever they share here, and we need to
No,
find any, or
no,
no
no,
need.
not required. See, what you need to follow as a best practice. See, let's take up example. You are working with you're working for XYZ client or XYZ company. Okay, so let's take an example. You're working for US client only. Okay, and that particular client from the US west side. So probably people are using the nearest data center to deploy the infrastructure. Okay, so let's take up example, like you are going to deploy infrastructure for SBI. Okay, so what is the
Mhm.
nearest location? The nearest location will be the Pune only, right?
Pune.
So you will deploy the resources under the Central India only. So if
Yeah,
you want, yeah, if you wanted to create a DR, or if you wanted to create some, if you need some disaster recovery or DR or redundancy, then you can use a Central India or West India.
okay, but in Pune location, that costing and some another location in
Huh.
US or UK, that
Right.
costing is different. So we can
Yes,
choose low cost.
yes, we can choose low cost, but your governance is not allowing to keep your data out of India.
That is for government data. For company, we can keep it.
No, for company, yes. So before that, you need to take the approval from your company uh, auditors and everything.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, yeah.
if your compliance is saying yes, you can use central use data center, no issues. Then you
Okay.
can keep it. Yeah,
This depend on
But
all.
exactly. It's
Yogesh, if we
completely
create
depend on.
any
Hmm.
Yogesh, if we
Yes.
create any data center in the US or Europe anywhere, then maybe we will face some latency issue.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yes, you will
Okay.
face that latency. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So in that scenario, first you need to choose the required location. Okay, nearest location. Okay, so in which scenario you will get that particular issue when you publish the websites, when you publish the web applications. So that time only. But again, Microsoft is offering the multiple services like CDN service, where you can cache, where you can do the caching in each and every region. So in such scenarios, you can enable the few services where you will not get the latency issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go into the next point, and under the next point again we will discuss the one more scenario where I'm going to create a multiple subscription, and we will discuss the scenario why we need a multiple subscription. Okay, so into that scenario we have discussed the single subscription, but now my company is asking the multiple subscription. Great. Okay, under the account, so I have created subscription 1. Subscription 1, and that subscription I have created for my, let's see, development BU. Okay, development business unit. Development business unit. Now let's see, I have created a one more subscription, and that particular subscription we have created for my test BU. Okay, so the both subscription is a part of single Azure Active Directory. So why what is the reason to have the two subscription? Any guess? Why people are asking the multiple subscription? Any guess?
Production should not get impacted.
Yeah, production should not get impact. So anyways, if you deploy a multiple infrastructure under the production, so it will not get impacted. The reason here is like my customer is asking the costing segregation. Okay, customer is asking, I need a segregation at the cost level, like how much using from the development and how much is utilizing from the test. Like for example, your single building, and under the single building you have multiple flats, so you are purchasing the meter, MSCB meter, flat wise. Why? Because you wanted to segregate the MSCB cost, you wanted to segregate the utilization cost, right? Like instead of multiple meters you can have a single meter as well for a single building, right? So why you are keeping multiple meters? To segregate the cost tenant wise, right? So with the same way here, you wanted to segregate the cost subscription wise. Like my development business unit is utilizing XYZ rupees, my test business unit is utilizing ABC rupees, right? So that particular cost then company can reclaim from their particular business unit straight away. Okay, any question till, any doubt till?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's take a one more scenario, and that scenario is very important. The same scenario you will get with your enterprise infrastructures. Okay, so this is the scenario where your company is asking to create a multiple subscription under the single Active Directory, because this is a single company and company has purchased the Azure infrastructure for the internal use only. But the next scenario we are talking one more concept, and that concept comes under the CSP. Okay, cloud service provider. So like your TCS is acting as a CSP, your Tech Mahindra acting as a CSP, your Accenture is acting as a CSP, IBM is acting as a CSP. So what is a CSP? Like CSP is providing, CSP is creating the subscription, and that subscription CSP is providing to their customer. Okay, so in such scenarios you need to create a multiple subscription with the multiple Azure Active Directories as well. Okay, so let's go with the CSP concept, CSP scenario. Let's see, IBM is acting as a, or TCS is acting as a CSP. Okay, so TCS has created one account which is abc.xyz.tcs.com @tcs.com, and under the tcs.com, like by default, as we discussed, you will get the default directory, right? What will be the default directory here? I'm talking Azure Active Directory. The default Azure Active Directory you will get here ABC XYZ TCS, okay, dot on Microsoft.com. So this is the directory you will get as a default in the backend. Okay, because this is a combination of your first name, last name with your domain as well. Okay, so ABC XYZ TCS.onmicrosoft.com will be the default directory. Okay, so you are not using at all default directory. So as a customer, you have the multiple customers. Okay, so you're acting as a here CSP. Let's go here. Okay, now TCS having the multiple customer. Let's see, TCS is dealing with the banks. Okay, let's see bank one. Bank one. Bank one, bank two, bank three. Bank three. Okay, so what bank one is asking to the TCS to create a subscription for bank one. So TCS will not create a subscription under the default directory at all. Okay, what TCS will do here, TCS will generate a one more Azure Active Directory under the same account, and that time there is option to select, or there is that time only we can choose the name. Okay, let's see bank one dot Microsoft.com. Okay, bank one dot on Microsoft.com. So under that Azure Active Directory, so this is your Azure AD. Azure AD. So under that Azure Active Directory, then TCS will create a one subscription. TCS will create one subscription, and that particular subscription is getting handed over to your bank one. Okay.
That means they are going to create a new account with the same mail ID.
No. They are not going to create new account. Just try to understand. They are going to use the same account. They are going to create a one more tenant. Okay, let me demonstrate here. Let me demonstrate. See, this is my Azure Active Directory. Go to Azure Active Directory. See, this is the default directory which we're talking. So I wanted to create a one more subscription under the different Azure Active Directory. So let's create a tenant.
Okay.
So I can have here one more Azure Active Directory under the same account, which is my cloud techno pune outlook.com. Next, see, on Microsoft.com will remain same, and you need to provide the name. So if I provide here SBI, so might be SBI I will not get, because that particular name should be available under on my. Okay, so that particular name should be available under the SBI under the on Microsoft.com. If that name is not available, then you need to create a Azure Active Directory with the different name. Let's see SBI 123. Okay, so with the same way we have created, and this is the logical segregated things. Okay, this is the complete logically segregated. This is the logical segregation. So that subscription will not communicate with your other subscription at all. It will not communicate. If you have any subscription under here, let's see subscription one. Subscription one. So your subscription one from your default directory and subscription one from your your bank 1 directory will not communicate at all, because this is a logical segregation. Okay, so this is the compliant way to deal with the multiple tenants with the multiple clients. Okay, so bank 2 is also asking the same services to the TCS, is all the small banks. Okay, so what TCS will do now, TCS will create one more Azure Active Directory. Bank2 dot microsoft.com. Okay, bank2 dot on microsoft.com, and under that again TCS is going to deploy one more subscription. Let's see one. Okay, and again this is the logical segregated infrastructure we are talking. So your bank 1 will not communicate with the bank 2, bank 2 will not communicate with the bank 1. Okay, this is the way to deal with the multiple clients with the multiple tenants. Okay, and then bank 2 is getting completely integrated with your Azure Active Directory to access the subscription. Okay, so your subscription from bank 1, subscription from bank 2 will not communicate at all. This is the logical segregation at the tenant level. So this is a different tenant, this is a different tenant, this is a different tenant, and that particular infrastructure you will get into the production. Okay, when you work with the CSP. So any question till any doubt till?
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Yes.
Like you said, there are two different subscription for respective banks, like bank
Right.
one and another subscription for bank two only. They are
Right.
not going to communicate with each other. Okay.
Right.
Or
Right.
also they are not going to communicate with default directory of TCS, correct?
Right. Right. Right.
Yes, for Bank One subscription and Bank Two subscription, Microsoft is going to charge a bill directly for on means on TCS for TCS means TCS will be going to pay that subscription price, or
Yes.
they will
Yes.
charge respective
Yes.
banks.
Yes. So TCS has provided a subscription to the bank 1, right? Microsoft doesn't know, right? So Microsoft will charge, or Microsoft will generate the bill under the TCS account only. Like what after the TCS, what will do? TCS will add their charges. Let's see, your bank 1 is asking to the TCS, yes, I want a subscription from you, and I wanted the management services from you as well. Okay, like Windows patching, Windows monitoring, troubleshooting, L1, L2, L3 support, backup, everything TCS is providing, because TCS is acting as a ISP as well, into the managed services, right? So TCS is managing the infrastructure for bank 1 and bank 2 as well. So if Microsoft is charging, okay, for bank 1, let's see, 100 rupees, okay, INR. So TCS will add here again 50 rupees for the management cost. Infra management cost. Okay. And the final bill will be 150 rupees. 150 rupees. Okay. So again from Microsoft, TCS is getting the huge discount as well. Okay. So that you need to check with Microsoft. Again, it's completely depend on your relation as well. Okay. So the business, like if you say to Microsoft, let's see, I'm going to give you the XYZ business within a year, then again TCS will get the more discounts. Okay, and this is a business. So if bank 1 is asking to directly to the Microsoft, okay, with the pay as you go subscription or pay as you go account, so might be bank 1 will get the more cost to the same infrastructure. Okay, and that's why small companies, small offices, okay, they are purchasing the subscription from the CSP, where they will get the more discounts compared to Microsoft, because
Oh,
the bank 1 is a very small customer for Microsoft, right?
yes, understand now. Yeah.
Yeah. Irfan, any doubt, any question?
No, Yogesh.
Okay. So what we'll do, we will take a break, 15-minute break, and then we will start with the infrastructure as a service concept. Okay. So we will discuss how to create a resource groups, how to deploy virtual machine, and then we will understand all the options when we deploy the virtual machine. We will go step by step. Okay. So today we'll start infrastructure as a service concept, and with the next sessions we will understand how to manage a virtual machine. We'll deal with the multiple virtual machine options. We will discuss how to troubleshoot the issues as well at the basic level, and then we'll complete the infrastructure as a service concept. Then we will move with the networking, which is very important topic, okay, for the interview as well, because people will not ask you to how to deploy virtual machine. People will ask like how you will design the infrastructure, how you will migrate the infrastructure, how you will put the security on your infrastructure layer. So those topics, those demonstration I'm going to cover with that networking. Okay. So we'll back in 15 minutes and then we'll continue.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, Yogesh.
Yes, can we start?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into the portal and we'll discuss, we'll understand how to configure the virtual machine, how to deploy the virtual machine with the multiple options. Okay, so let's go into the portal. So as we discussed into the diagram, right? We are going to deploy the virtual machine here. Okay, under the subscription, we are going to create a resource group. Let's mention here only. Okay, so under the subscription, we'll create a resource group RG1, RG2, and under the resource group, we will deploy the virtual machine. Virtual machine, or we can have a network, or we can have the disk. Okay, let's go and try to understand the virtual machine first. Azure virtual machine. Okay, so before creating the virtual machine on Azure platform, we will understand what is virtual machine, how it works, what is a prerequisite to deploy the virtual machine into the on-premises, and then we will compare with the Microsoft Azure. So let's take up example. I have physical data center, I have on-premises data center, and into the on-premises data center, I am using some virtualization platform. So virtualization platform is nothing but it's a one more layer top of hardware where we can have the multiple instances on a single machine. So for example, I have a physical server. I have physical server. Let's say this is my IBM server or HP server with high-end configuration. Let's see 24 core CPU and 512 GB memory. On top of that, we have installed the hypervisor layer. So hypervisor layer is nothing but virtualization layer. Okay, so this is my hypervisor. This is my hypervisor. So hypervisor is nothing but like VMware ESXi. We can have Microsoft Hyper-V. Okay, which Microsoft is using. So Microsoft is using a Hyper-V hypervisor at their data centers because Hyper-V is the Microsoft product, right? So top up of Hyper-V or top up of ESXi, we can have the virtual machine on into the on-premises, right? So this is the virtual machine, right? We can deploy the virtual machine. We can have the virtual machines here. We can have the virtual machines, right? So virtual machines we can deploy with the required OS. So let's take up example like I need here Windows. I need here Windows. I need here Windows. I need here Linux. I need here Linux. I need here Linux. So as per requirement from the application team, as per requirement from the vendor, like we need to deploy the operating system top up of virtual machine, and again top up of operating system, then we can have the application. So this is application, application, application. Application. So we are talking on premises infrastructure, like what is the challenges, what is the requirement, and how we can take the help from the Microsoft, okay, with the Microsoft Azure, okay, to deploy our infrastructure without any issue and without any prerequisites. So this is my app, right? Let's say this is my SQL server. See, this is my Active Directory server, my DNS server. This is a DHCP server. Okay. So again, those physical boxes are getting connected with the physical storage, physical SAN in the backend. Let's see, this is my SAN, fiber channel SAN. And again, though those two boxes are getting connected with the network in infrastructure as well, networking. See, network switch. Okay. So it's getting connected here. It's getting connected here as well. Okay. So let's take an example. As a system admin, you're working and you got the request from your application team, like we need a virtual machine. So what is the prerequisites to deploy the virtual machine? Any guess, any idea? Because you're all from the infrastructure background, right? So any guess, like what is the prerequisite?
Yeah, we can ask the hardware requirement first, like what is the RAM size, what is the CPU size requirement,
Exactly.
then what application they want to run on that system,
Okay.
space they required,
Okay.
then
Okay.
the network, like they need the 1 GB gigaspeed network card or 10 GB, like
Okay.
that.
Okay. 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 So what we need to ask? So there are two type of requirements we can say here. The first type of requirement, okay, which is you will get from your application team, the related CPU and memory, right? CPU, memory, disk, IOPS, right? Performance things. And there is a one more requirement from the infrastructure side. Okay, like you should have the free resources on the physical server, right? You should have the required network, you should have the required storage into the SAN, right? So we'll note it down, what is the pre-requirement. Okay, the requirement here is I need a required CPU, memory, disk size, disk IOPS, okay, then network, storage. Very important is Windows license copy. Okay, Windows license. And if you're planning to deploy, let's say SQL, so you would require SQL license as well. Okay, so let's take a small example only. So we need a Windows license, right? So what is the prerequisite? The CPU, required memory from the physical infrastructure side I'm talking. So let me edit here, free CPU. Okay, and then you can build a virtual machine on your VMware infrastructure or Hyper-V infrastructure, and you can hand it over that particular virtual machine to your application team or required teams to deploy the application, right? So when we compare with the Microsoft Azure architecture, when we compare with the Microsoft Cloud, okay, so again, few prerequisites would required here during the virtual machine deployment or before deploying the virtual machine. So we'll understand those prerequisites as well. So this is my Azure infrastructure, and into the, see, when we say I am deploying the virtual machine on Azure platform, means we are using infrastructure as a service, IaaS. Infrastructure as a service is nothing but, as we discussed into our PPT, right? The complete infrastructure managed by Microsoft. So when we say infrastructure as a service, like storage, physical storage, then network, server, Hyper-V layer, right? Everything managed by Microsoft, okay, which is managed by Microsoft. Microsoft here, okay. So what is the prerequisite to deploy the virtual machine? First, we should have the required network. Required network. So required net, I'm not talking on physical network, I'm talking on virtual network, because Microsoft is also using the virtualization layer in the backend. So again, you will get the same concept on a VMware as well, like standard switch. VMware standard switch. Okay, so the same concept, like we would require here a network service, and that network service is nothing but Azure VNet. Right? Azure VNet is a network service, and the service is required before deploying the virtual machine. If you do not have any network created under your subscription, under your resource group, so that time Microsoft will create a network automatically in the your backend, and Microsoft will use that particular network. Okay, I will demonstrate. Okay, we will discuss which network Microsoft is going to create during our virtual machine deployment, because today we are not going to discuss on network layer. Okay, today we are going to discuss on only the compute layer, which is my infrastructure as a service. Okay, so Azure VNet is the required network, is the required here. Okay, now what is the next prerequisite? The next requirement is Azure storage account. Azure storage account. Okay, so storage account we required, okay, to configure few options from the virtual machine. But if you ask me, do we require Azure storage account to deploy the virtual machine? Answer will be a no, because there are two concepts, and those concepts probably we are going to discuss next week, which is Azure virtual machine with managed disk and unmanaged disk. So when you deploy the virtual machine with unmanaged disk, then storage is required. If you are going to deploy virtual machine with managed disk, then storage is not required. So what is unmanaged, what is managed, we will discuss next week. Okay, what is prerequisite again? To deploy virtual machine, would need a subscription. We need a resource group. Okay, and then we can deploy the virtual machine. So subscription is a requirement, resource group is a requirement, your Azure VNet is a requirement, which is my network, okay, which is my software network, okay, which is built upon my hypervisor layer, and then Azure storage account is required to deploy and to configure the virtual machine. So any question till, any doubt, any question?
So this VNet will be created by default IPs, right? As your VNet.
Yes, because we are not going to define our ranges, right? So the recommendation here is, like, before deploying the infrastructure, you should ready with your network, because network is a very important piece from your infrastructure. Because once you do the deployment, once you've done your deployment, you cannot change the network at all. That's why networking is a very important topic from any cloud. When you go with the AWS, when you go with the Google, when you go with the Microsoft, your networking should be in a proper manner, and then you can design the infrastructure, you can migrate the infrastructure from on-prem to cloud prem, because networking you are not going to change. Okay, so you need to define the networking with some buffer as well for next 3 years, or for next 5 years as well. Okay, so if you are not defining any network, automatically Microsoft will take the default range, which is 10.0.0 range with the /24, and Microsoft will use that particular network to deploy the resources. Okay, if you are aware with the, yes please, yeah.
So, Yogesh, one point, like
Yeah,
definitely network you'll be taking in the next class.
right,
So, everybody must be using 170 to 192 ranges class C
right,
network.
right,
So
right.
uh, then how does it get? Means since it comes on a particular resource group and under particular subscription, that will not clash
Right.
with the other tenants
Mm,
or something
I
like
got
that,
it your
right?
question. Yeah, yeah. I got it your question. Let me explain. Okay, at the tenant level. Okay. So again, we need to go one step back. Okay, let's go here, and we'll understand like how Microsoft is managing their networking, because you are asking very valid question as a tenant, because Microsoft, see, this is the Microsoft data center. This is the Microsoft data center, right? Let's take up example like you are using Microsoft Central US data center, or let's see East US data center, East US data center, and under the East US data center, there are multiple tenants Microsoft is managing. Means there are multiple customers. They have created their infrastructure into the East US data center. Let's take up example here, like customer A, customer B, customer C, customer D. So this is all the logical infrastructure we are talking. Okay, this is the tenants. Okay, ये आपके सारे tenants है. Okay, so let's take up example, my client A, client B. Okay, is all the tenants for Microsoft. Customer G and H. Okay, so what Microsoft is doing at the back end, Microsoft is using some SDN product, SDN. So SDN is nothing but software defined networks. So what is the use of SDN? What is the importance of SDN here is, like we can have a same network with the multiple times. So let's compare with the on-premises first, and then we will compare with the SDN. See why people are using the SDN with the public cloud and private clouds. Okay, so let's go into the on-premises. Sure, we have diagram, right? Okay, so this is on-premises, and let's take up example like we are using here 172.20.0.0/16 network. So this is my complete network. That particular network is getting segregated with the multiple VLANs and with the multiple subnets. Let's see VLAN 1. VLAN 1 is getting created with 172.21.0/24, and approx usable IP address I will get here some 250 IP addresses. Okay, usable, I'm talking usable IP addresses where I can use it. So with the same way, like network team has segregated the network with the multiple VLANs. So purely we are talking on premises, we are not talking on cloud. So this is my VLAN 2, and VLAN 2 is tagged with the 2.x, means 172.22.0/24. Again, VLAN 3 network team has created for my infrastructure, which is my VLAN 3.x. Okay, so we'll take the small example. So let's take up example. I am using here VLAN, and your SQL you are configured with the VLAN 1. Okay, you have configured SQL with the VLAN 1, and you have provided one IP address to the virtual machine, and that IP address is 172 172.20.1.100. So this is your IP address of SQL, IP of SQL server, right? Okay, the next question, like can we use the same IP address into the same infrastructure?
No.
No, this is a very simple thing, right? We cannot use it. But when you deploy the SDN product in your infrastructure, we can have the same IP address, same ranges, we can use it. Okay, so again, I can give here one more example. So VMware also providing the same product, and that particular product is nothing but your NSX. So NSX is also acting as the same. as a SDN, software defined networks. So when you configure the private cloud, okay, when you configure the private cloud with the VMware stack, like VMware ESXi, VMware Virtual Center Server, then VMware VRA, VRO, and NSX. So at that time only you can divide your logical data center with the multiple customer, multiple client with the same IP ranges. So the same thing Microsoft is doing in the backend, and same thing your other cloud vendors also doing, where that particular IP ranges will not conflict, because networking you are going to define as a tenant level. It will not impact on a backend physical network infrastructure. So let's take an example. Tenant A, tenant A is XYZ, XY, let's see, XYZ at the rate, let's see, TCS.com. Okay. Tenant B, let's see, ABC at the rate ibm.co.in. Okay. So if TCS is creating here one range or defining one range here, for example, 192, 168, I'm talking now VNet 1.0.0/24 as a VNet, so that IBM also can define the same range. If TCS is configuring on virtual machine, and TCS is configuring here, let's see, 192, 168, 1.100, the same IP address your IBM also can use under their tenant, because the network layer is getting segregated at tenant level. This is the tenant. Now you got the concept, Irfan?
Yogesh, in future, if we did VNet peering in these two, TCS and IBM, then what will happen?
No, in that scenario, you cannot do the VNet peering. Okay. So again, VNet peering, why the one more point I wanted to clear here. See, VNet peering you are going to do, okay, in which scenario, where your source and destination comes under the same subscription or either same account. Okay, because this is a different tenant at all. Okay. This is a complete different tenant. This is the complete different tenant. So let's take an example. IBM wanted to communicate with the TCS, and TCS wanted to communicate with the IBM. So there is no way to configure the VNet peering. You need to use the front end network, which is your side to side VPN, which is your express route. At that time only, you need to use third party firewalls, and then you need to configure the netting, and then your IBM can communicate with the TCS and TCS can communicate with the IBM. So when we say VNet peering means you are using the Azure backend network infrastructure to communicate with the multiple networks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Got it? Okay, thank you. Sure. Okay, so let's go into our scenario. So this is the prerequisites to deploy the virtual machine in on-premises, and when we compare, this is the prerequisites to deploy the virtual machine on Microsoft Azure. Let's see, subscription, resource group, Azure VNet, and as we discussed, there is no VNet under my subscription. So what Microsoft will do here, Microsoft will create a one default VNet with the default name only, default VNet and default subnet with the 10 series. This is the default series from Microsoft. And again, when you compare with the AWS has created default network automatically each and every region. Okay, if you compare the with AWS networking with the VPC, when you log in into the portal, when you go with the VPC option, so AWS has created a default networks. Now you have to decide whether you wanted to use the default network or customized VPC need to be created. It is completely depend on your requirement. So in Microsoft case, Microsoft has not designed or Microsoft has not deployed a default network. Microsoft is deploying the network during the virtual machine deployment itself. If you do not have any VNet, if you have VNet, then automatically Microsoft will select the same VNet which you have created under that particular location. one more point I wanted to highlight here. So if you are deploying the virtual machine in East US, okay, if you are deploying the virtual machine in East US as per our diagram, right, and if you deploy the network under the different region and you are deploying the virtual machine East US, so we cannot use that particular network. Okay, so the network needs to be created with the same location where you wanted to deploy the virtual machine, because without network you will not able to deploy the virtual machine. Okay, so let's go into the virtual machine, go into the account, and first let's create a resource group. So again, I have created few resource groups here, okay, for the other labs. So let's deploy the resource group. Okay, see, now as we discussed into the theory, when we create a resource group, Microsoft is using two objects, or that particular resource group is getting tagged with the two objects, subscription and location. So location is nothing but my physical data center. Okay, let's search here. Central India. Central India. See, this is the Central India, which is comes under Asia Pacific, right? So let's use the name. Let's see data center, or let's see DC 300. So I'm using the Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, means Microsoft will generate the bill of that vertical virtual machine under that subscription. I can use the production infrastructure subscription as well. Okay, but I don't want to use that subscription. I wanted to use the Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. And again, Microsoft is asking which region you wanted to use. So I wanted to use here East US. Next, you can configure the tags. So tag is nothing but you can configure the name, okay, to get the more clarity. Okay, so let's review and create. Okay, so DC 300 subscription, sorry, resource group you have created. So here I can get all the details. So this is the resource group name, subscription and location. Okay, so let's go into the resource group, and there is no objects, there is no services created under the resource group. So this is a blank, there is no resource, there is no resources, right? And now let's go into the home and let's search the virtual machine. Okay, so again you will get here two options with the virtual machine, right? Virtual machine and virtual machine classic. So don't use the virtual machine classic. So virtual machine classic is nothing but Microsoft has started the Microsoft Azure with the old portal, which is classic portal, and now Microsoft has stopped that particular portal. So we cannot use the old portal. But why Microsoft is giving that feature, giving that option? Let's take an example. You're the customer and you have some infrastructure in old portal. You can access those virtual machine, or you can migrate those virtual machine from old portal to new portal. So new portal is nothing but your ARM portal. Okay, as a resource manager portal which we are using. So this is a ARM portal. Old one is your classic one. We are not using any classic. See, virtual network classic, virtual machine classic. So we are not going to use any classic. We are going to use all the new portal with the new options only. Go to the virtual machine now, and let's create a virtual machine. Okay, DC 300. See, now Microsoft is asking the name of the virtual machine. Okay, so before deploying the any virtual machine, first we need to design our naming convention. Okay, because again, one more point I wanted to highlight. Once you done the deployment with the virtual machine, okay, with the virtual machine name, you cannot change the virtual machine name. Okay, so that's why that particular naming convention needs to be decided before deploying the infrastructure. Again, I wanted to compare with the AWS. In AWS is a very simple way to change the name of the virtual machine and to change the name of the operating system as well. So there are two type of names we are going to discuss in next classes: virtual machine name and host name. Okay, so let's take an example. If I use here app server, so automatically or by default, Microsoft will use the same name as a host name as well. Let's go into the theory. Virtual machine name, Azure virtual machine. Virtual machine name and host name. Okay. So if I configure here virtual machine name as a app server, so Microsoft will pick up the same name as a host name as well. Okay, Microsoft will pick up the name. Just a minute. Okay, so let's take up example. You have deployed the virtual machine with app server with virtual machine name which is app server, and again Microsoft is using the same name as a host name. And after a few months, your application team is asking, no, I don't want that particular name. I wanted to change that particular OS name, because your application team is dealing with the operating system only. Your application team will not dealing with the virtual machine, right? So as a Azure admin, you're dealing with the virtual machine. So in that scenario, what we can do, we can change the name. We can change app server to app server 2 or required name, but your virtual machine name will be the remain same, which is app server only. Okay, so let's go into the portal. App server region. See, when I select here DC300, automatically Microsoft has selected the East US. Why? Because the DC300 resource group is getting created under the East US region, East US location. So if you do not have any resource group, you can create a new resource group during the virtual machine deployment as well. Okay, so during the virtual machine deployment, we can deploy the resource groups, we can deploy the networks as well. Okay, so if you do not have, so let's cancel. Availability options we will discuss later into the virtual machine management. So under the availability options, there are two options: availability zones and availability set, where we can maintain the redundancy from physical data center, okay, and from with the multiple data center as well. So those options we will discuss once we deploy the virtual machine. Now Microsoft is asking to configure the image, to select the image. So image is nothing but the default template. Okay, so if you're from VMware team, like into the VMware, there is option template. So template is nothing but master copy of the virtual machine, where we can deploy the multiple virtual machine from a single template. So let's take an example. I wanted to deploy 100 virtual machine with the required applications. Okay, on that particular 100 machine, we should have a monitoring agent, we should have a backup agent, we should have some antivirus agent, we should have some vulnerability assessment agent. So what you can do, you can have a master image. Under that master image, you will have all the required things, and from that master image, you can deploy the virtual machine. But in our scenario, Microsoft is not providing any master image. Microsoft is providing the normal image, where you will get only the Windows OS, like Windows 2K12, 2K8, 2K19, 2K16, with Linux flavor, with RHL, with the SUSE, with the CentOS, with the Fedora, right? So if you wanted to create a master image, again, that particular option Microsoft is offering and Microsoft is providing. So into the next classes, under the virtual machine management, we will discuss that option as well, like how we can have a master image, okay, and how we can use that master image across the multiple locations. Okay, now here I'm going to use a Windows image with Windows 2K12. See, Windows Server 2K12 R2 Data Center Edition Generation 1. So generation 1 is nothing but it's a naming convention from the Microsoft for their use. Okay, generation 1. Now Microsoft is asking the size as well. Okay, so when we say size here, so don't compare with the on-premises infrastructure. Okay, as we discussed, let's see in on-premises, if your application team is asking key, yes, I need a 4 GB RAM, I need a 12 4 CPU. Let's see, I need a 4 CPU and I need a 12 GB RAM. Okay, again your application team is saying for other machine, I need here 4 CPU, but I need here 10 GB RAM only. 10 GB RAM will work. So this is the complete customized thing, right? Where you can do it. But when you deal with the cloud platforms, Azure, AWS, Google, so they are providing the default sizes. Okay, so you cannot customize that size. Okay, if your requirement is 4 CPU with the 10 GB memory, so might be that particular combination you will not get. So in such scenarios, either you need to use 4 CPU with 8 GB RAM, or you need to use 4 CPU with the 12 GB memory. So that level access or that level customization, Microsoft or AWS or Google is not providing. Okay, so let's go into the portal and sizes. So see all sizes, and we will discuss on sizes as well. Okay, so this is the sizes which Microsoft is offering here. All sizes, let me all, this is the all. Okay, so let's go with the one size, okay, which I'm using, okay, mainly for the labs, which is B series. Okay, again there are multiple series. Okay, D series, B series. Okay, again under the D series you will get the multiple virtual machine size, B series, S series, A series as well. Okay, so let's take up example of our B series, and from B series this is the B2S. So B2S is the virtual machine size, is a virtual machine size which is from the general purpose. Okay, so again Microsoft is providing the multiple families, like you can have a memory optimized virtual machine, you can have CPU optimized virtual machine, your storage optimized virtual machine as well. So first we will understand what is memory optimized and what is CPU optimized. So let's take an example. There is an application, and that application is required more CPU and less memory. Okay, so there is an application, and that application required more CPU and less memory. So you need to search the virtual machine type with the CPU optimized. Okay, where you will get the more CPUs and less memory. So again, before deploying the infrastructure, the complete things you need to ask to your application team and application vendor only. So as per your requirement, as per your utilization, as per your consumption, your vendor is going to decide the virtual machine size to you. Okay, because that virtual machine size is the tag with the IOPS as well. Okay, storage IOPS I am talking. So any question here till, any doubt till? Okay, so let's go into the B2S. Okay, so B2S is from the general purpose family. Okay, where B series people are using for the lab and testing and R&D purpose. So B2S is providing the 2 CPU and 4 GB memory. Okay, B2S is offering 2 CPU and 4 GB memory. And again, B2S saying, yes, we can have 4 data disk. So first we'll understand what is the 4 and how it works. Let's go into the diagram. So let's say this is the virtual machine. Azure VM, and we are using B2S. And what is the configuration Microsoft is providing under B2S? 2 CPU, 4 GB memory. Okay. And again, Microsoft is saying yes, Microsoft is providing 4 data disk. And that concept we need to discuss, data disk. Okay. So when we deploy the virtual machine, now I am talking any virtual machine on Azure, any VM on Azure cloud. Okay, either Windows, either Linux. So default behavior we are discussing now of the virtual machine. So we'll take the example as a Windows. Okay, so when you deploy the virtual machine with Windows, by default, Microsoft is offering the C drive with 127 GB. Okay, so this is a default behavior for the operating system. So Microsoft is deploying the operating system, okay, on that particular drive, particular disk. So total size will be that 127 GB, and you can extend up to 4 TB here. 4 TB you can extend. Again, that particular values is getting changed every time, because every day Microsoft is giving or releasing the new features. So as per my understanding, the OS disk can be extend up to 4 TB. So what Microsoft is saying here, apart from your C drive, again Microsoft is giving one more disk, which is D drive, and completely D drive for the temporary purpose. What is temporary purpose? You can configure the application logs where you will get the best performance. Why best performance I'm talking? Because that particular temp drive you will get from the SSD storage every time with all the virtual machine type and sizes. So see your OS disk, OS drive, you need to select the options. So those options we will discuss into the next slide. So C for the OS and D for the temporary. And again, what will be the size of the D drive? So that particular size will get varies as per your virtual machine type, virtual machine size. See, your temporary storage is 8 GB. If you select D2S V3, you will get the temporary storage as a 16 GB. So again, that storage will get changed, varied as per your virtual machine size. But in our scenario, if we select B2S, so we will get C drive as a 127 GB by default, and D drive we will get with the 8 GB, where we can configure the application logs if you required. Okay, if you are keeping your production data, which is not recommended, because when you reboot the virtual machine from OS side, that particular data is getting removed from the your operating system from that particular drive. Okay, so let's go into the diagram again. Okay, so this is my C drive, this is my D drive. So what Microsoft is saying, apart from C, apart from D, you can have here 4 data disk. So this is my OS disk, this is my temporary disk. Okay, this is my OS disk, this is my temporary disk, and apart from C, apart from D, E, F, G, and K. So we can add here 4 data disk, and you can use those 4 data disks to deploy the application or to keep your data. Okay, so in some region that data disk is supported with the 32 TB maximum size. In some region it's supported 64 TB. Again, those values needs to be checked with the documentation. Into the Microsoft documentation, you will get the latest values. Because as per my knowledge and understanding, in some region supported 32 TB, in some region is supported with the 64 TB. So any question till any doubt?
Here in AWS,
Mhm.
you get some machines by which are released by AWS that they can give you free, but they can reclaim it at any point of time. Any such feature in Azure?
Reclaim means which feature you're talking? Means you're asking data reclaim or?
No, like for they keep it in a like a sale that okay, these VMs you can use for testing or something like that at a very
Uh,
minimum cost. But then
okay,
at
okay.
any point of time they can withdraw that VM.
Yes, 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 yes. So the same concept Microsoft has also started, and that particular feature is nothing but a spot instance you are talking, right?
Yeah, correct.
Spot instance. Yes, yes, yes. Microsoft is also started that feature. Okay, we'll show you that feature. Okay. Again, see, spot instance is nothing but you need to do the bidding, right? You need to give your price. So if Microsoft is giving into your price, then you will get the virtual machine. If it is not, then you will not get the virtual machine. Okay. So let's go into the portal. B2S, we are talking general purpose, 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, 4 data disk we can configure. In some virtual machines, we can have 8 data disk, which is high-end machine. In some virtual machine type, Microsoft is offering 16. Offering means you can add a 4 data disk. The costing will be different. The costing will be different of your data disk. Okay. So if you go here, you will get some cost as well. See, 2007 rupees 21 paisa per month cost, right? So if you calculate 2000 approx, go to calculator. So 2000 divided by, let's say, 30. So 66 rupees per day, 66 rupees 66 paisa per day. And again, if you divide here with 24, so 2 rupees 77 paisa will be the hourly cost of that virtual machine. But your in 2 rupees 77 paisa, what you will get? You will get 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, 127 GB disk is a OS disk. Very important, Windows license copy. And you are paying around 2000 rupees INR per month. Okay, again, multiple options we will discuss later, how we can optimize the cost. Okay, when you design the solution, when you design the infrastructure. So those options also we will discuss during the next sessions. Okay, so 2 rupees 77 paisa will be the hour cost. Okay, hourly cost. Let's go into the portal. Okay, so this is the cost, right? So let's go B2S, 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, 4 data disk, and that particular value is the very important. So that value is saying that virtual machine cannot take more than 1280 IOPS. So if you are looking the virtual machine for the mission critical applications where you would require more IOPS, more read, more write speed, okay, in such scenarios, then you need to go with the higher version, which is D series, where you will get the more read and write speed. Okay, so again, before deploying the virtual machine, you need to check with the application team what is the behavior of the application, what you want, your more CPU, more memory, and what about the IOPS of that particular virtual machine. If you deploy the wrong virtual machine, yes, anytime we can upgrade and anytime we can downgrade the size of virtual machine. But again, downtime is required for that particular activity. Okay, so 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, 4 data disk, required IOPS, okay, and 8 GB temporary storage as a D drive we will get. So what Microsoft is saying here, premium disk, yes. So what we can do, okay, as a user, as a client, a C drive we can configure with the normal disk, which is standard disk. Let's see, my application team is saying I'm going to use F drive to keep my SQL database. And application team is saying, yes, I'm using my G drive to install a SQL binaries. Means you install the SQL on your G drive. Okay. So what you can do, you can configure F drive and G drive with the premium disk. What is premium disk? Premium disk every time you will get from the SSD storage. Okay, premium disk you will get from the SSD storage. So again, under the premium disk you will get a two option, standard and standard premium and ultra premium. Okay, so there are two options you will get. So those options also we will discuss during the next classes. So just Microsoft is giving here information like that particular virtual machine type is supported with the premium disk option. In some scenarios might be you will get not supported as well. With the basic one we need to check. Okay, I believe that option you will get with the A series something. See, not supported. So when you deploy A series virtual machine, so A series virtual machine is not supported with the premium disk. It is supported with only the standard disk only. So standard disk is nothing but your normal disk, okay, which you will get with your laptop and desktops. SSD disk is providing the more IOPS, more read and write speed. So let's go here into the B2S and let's select. Okay, now Microsoft is asking the administrator account, user ID and password. So we'll understand what is the prerequisite and what is the best practices. So if you configure here, administrator we cannot use as a admin account of the OS, right? So we can use some any other name, but administrator Microsoft is not accepting. So this is the customized OS from Microsoft. Okay, so let's take an example. I have configured here admin 100 account. So admin 100 will be the local administrator of the virtual machine. So admin 100 can perform any task on that particular virtual machine because this is a local admin. Okay, and now I'm going to configure the password for admin 100 account. Password can be a change anytime. We'll demonstrate how to do it. Okay, the next option Microsoft is asking, the public inbound ports, means how you are going to access your virtual machine via RDP. Again, on that particular part we are going to discuss in depth because that particular concept comes under the security, which is NSG, network security group, and that NSG part we are going to discuss in depth, like how to configure, how it works, and what is the best practices to configure the security. But for today's scenario, just I'm going to allow the RDP, means from the outside anyone can access my virtual machine. Okay, from outside anyone can access my virtual machine. Licensing, yes, I need a Windows license as well. If you have already licenses, then you can save up to 49%. Okay, I will show you into the Microsoft calculator as well, like how we can calculate the cost. I don't have any existing licenses. If you have any existing licenses, just click here, then you will get the 49% discount. Okay, so next disk option. See, now Microsoft is asking OS disk type, either premium, your standard SDD, standard SSD and premium SSDs. Okay, so for the lab purpose I'm selecting only the standard SSD only. So that particular type is completely related to only the operating system disk. Okay, so again Microsoft is saying the selected VM size support premium disk as we discussed. We recommend premium SSD for high IOPS workload. The virtual machine with the premium SSD disk, we can, means Microsoft is offering only the 99%. Okay, if we use the SSD. So when you configure the virtual machine with the standard SSD, you will get only the 95% uptime. So I will show you that particular chart as well. What is the SLA which Microsoft is offering here? Okay, with the single machine. So let's select with the standard HDD. Encryption type we will discuss later. So currently we are using the default option, which is encryption at rest with a platform managed keys. We can define R keys as well. Okay. So that particular option we will discuss later, because if you wanted to enable that option, then key vault needs to be created. Again, key vault is a one more service from Microsoft. Those options also we will understand later. What is managed disk, what is unmanaged disk. Next. See, as we discussed, Microsoft is creating the default network, default subnet with the 10 series 10.0.0/24. Okay. So we will use the same default one. We are not going to edit anything here. Next. Again, boot diagnostic, I don't want to use because it's requires storage account. I'm going to disable it. Next time, let's review and create the machine. See, 2 rupees 74 paisa and create the virtual machine. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, I will back just a minute. Okay, so virtual machine deployment is completed, and let's go into the resource group. Just I wanted to demonstrate the resources which Microsoft has created to run the single virtual machine. Go to the resource group, go to the DC 300 is a resource group which we have created, and under that we have deployed one virtual machine, right? So Microsoft has deployed virtual machine as object, public IP address as object, then network security group as object, network interface as object, disk, okay, which we were talking on C drive, the disk as object, and virtual network as object. So when you deploy a virtual machine, by default Microsoft is deploying a virtual machine as object, then IP address, I'm talking public IP, then app server, then network interface, and your disk. Okay, so let's go into the virtual machine, and we can have a one more view where we can see the machine. Go to the virtual machine option, and under the virtual machine option we can see the virtual machine. See, app server virtual machine is a type, status is running. That particular machine we have created under the 300 resource group, location East US, source marketplace. What is marketplace? Because we have not used our image, we have used the Microsoft image, that's why Microsoft is showing marketplace. So when you select or when you use your own template, customized template, then Microsoft will show here as a disk, okay, and which subscription you are using. So let's go into the virtual machine, and into the virtual machine the first tab you will get as an overview. So under the overview you will get the complete details of the virtual machine. So we can connect, we can take the RDP, we can take the SSH, and we can have the Bastion service as well. So again, into the networking we will discuss what is Bastion service, okay, how we can use the secured way to connect to the virtual machine. Then the virtual machine is already in running mode, that's why start option is disabled. We can restart the machine, we can stop the machine, we can capture the image, we can delete the machine, refresh, and open into mobile. So you can monitor your virtual machine in your mobile, okay, by using the app. So resource group, as we discussed, we are using DC 300, location is East US, see subscription ID, as we discussed earlier, right? So Microsoft is referring the subscription ID every time. Microsoft is not referring the name of the subscription. Microsoft is referring only the subscription ID. The size of virtual machine with 2 CPU, 4 GB memory, which operating system you are using, and this is the public IP. So let's understand the concept of the IP address when you deploy the virtual machine. So let's go into the diagram. So this is the virtual machine we have deployed. As we discussed, Microsoft has deployed a one more component, and that component is nothing but a virtual network card. Virtual network card, right? And that particular virtual network card is getting connected with the Azure VNet service, because I'm getting the IP address from the VNet. I'm getting the IP address from the subnet. Okay. Again, in depth, we are going to discuss into the networking, but for the today's understanding, my machine is getting the IP address from the subnet. Subnet, and subnet is a part of VNet. Subnet is a part of VNet. Okay, so what is the IP address? So if you see into the portal, you will get the two type of IP address, public IP and private IP, right? See, this is the private IP and this is the public IP. So the private IP address is responsible for internal communication. So let's go into the diagram. So this is the IP address which is configured, which is 10.0.0.4 for the internal purpose. What is internal communication? Let's see, you have 10 virtual machine and those virtual machine wanted to communicate with each other. So the complete communication will happen by using the private IP address only. And what is the public IP which Microsoft is offering? The public IP Microsoft is offering to access that particular infrastructure, to access that particular virtual machine from the outside. So outside is nothing but from the internet, because there is no site-to-site tunnel between my data center and Microsoft data center. Okay, in next classes we will discuss how we can establish or how we can configure the site-to-site tunnel. Okay, so Microsoft is offering one public IP as well. Public IP address. So what is the public IP? In our case, this is the public IP, right? This is the public IP. Okay, so when you talk on a public IP, okay, public IP is not configured on a virtual machine level. Public IP is not configured on a network level. The public IP is getting configured as a NATed IP address. Okay, and that NATed infrastructure means that particular NAT rule we cannot have the access. The Microsoft is NATing that particular IP address at Microsoft end, means when you hit on that particular IP address, automatically your request is getting forwarded to your virtual machine. Okay, so let's try. Go to MSTSC, public IP, enter C. Admin 100. Okay. Now, if you see here, okay, if you check the network details, okay, so you will not get the public IP, you will get only the private IP. So public IP is for only the access purpose from outside, and this is a NATed IP. So public IP is not configured on your virtual machine. Public IP can be removed from that virtual machine. Public IP can be configured to another virtual machine as well. Okay, so let's go into the command line. IP config. See, I'm getting here 10.0.0.4 only. Why 4? Why not 1? Why not 2? Why not 3? We will discuss into the networking. Okay, so the 0.4 will be my IP address which Microsoft is offering for that particular virtual machine, but the public IP we cannot see inside the virtual machine. So let's go into the my computer. See, this is my C drive, one with the 126 GB. Actually, this is a 127 GB, but into the Windows it is showing only 126. And this is a D drive with the 8 GB, and there is a temporary storage, and there is a note. Any data stored on this drive is subject to loss, and there is no way to recover it. If you keep any data, your production data, your important data, and when you reboot the virtual machine, when you reboot the operating system, automatically that the data will get deleted from the D drive. Okay, so such type of concept you will not get into the AWS, and you will not get into the your Google as well. So let's go into the portal only. We will discuss some more options. So this is the public IP. DNS we are not going to use, and under networking we will discuss the DNS as well. This is the complete details of the virtual machine. Okay, which plan we are using, which offer we have, VM generation which is V1, agent status ready means Microsoft is monitoring your virtual machine. This is the agent version. Host group, there is no host group because this is a shared model we are talking. What is shared model? Like my virtual machine is getting deployed on one of the Hyper-V host, and that Hyper-V host is not a reserve for my subscription. So if you are working with the banking domain and your bank is asking, no, I need my physical infrastructure, I need a reserved physical infrastructure. So in that scenario, you can purchase the two Hyper-V host as well. And when you deploy the virtual machine, your virtual machine is getting deployed on those two physical box only every time. So any doubt, any question till? Any question till? Irfan, any question from your side?
So you mean to say that TCS is having is taking a subscription, and under it there are multiple tenants.
Right.
So in the backend, Microsoft is putting the VMs requested by multiple tenants onto the shared ESXi hosts.
Yes,
It will
yes,
not
yes.
be
Shared.
dedicated to TCS
Right,
only, right?
right. So if you want dedicated, then you need to adopt that particular service. You need to purchase that service, okay, and that service is nothing but host group and host, and then when you deploy the virtual machine from your tenant, automatically your virtual machine is getting deployed on your physical box only. Okay.
So if someone purchases Azure Stack, so that means that it will Azure Stack means whatever the cloud services are there that are on your on-premise physical data center. Azure Stack, like, they will come and put that complete Azure Stack in your data center. So
Yes, yes,
automatically,
yes.
when you put in that case, then if you deploy any virtual machine, so will it be a shared model or will it be a like dedicated
No,
to your environment only?
no. When you talk on a Azure Stack is a completely dedicated for your data center only. Okay, so that the billing is managed by portal only, but the Azure Stack, when you deploy the virtual machine on Azure Stack, so that virtual machine will get deployed in your data center only. So when you use that particular feature, which is host group and host feature, means in Microsoft data center, you are going to reserve two physical boxes. Azure Stack you can compare with like your VMware, like your physical box, your VMware virtualization for the private cloud. Okay, into the VMware private cloud, you need to use two more tools, which is VRA, VRO. So Azure Stack is a combined solution for the private cloud.
Yeah, so that they don't need to go towards the cloud and everything is like hosted in your data center.
Yes. Everything you are going to deploy in your physical data center only with the private cloud, which is Azure Stack. See, Azure Stack you can integrate with the Microsoft public cloud. Okay, for few services, for the backup you can integrate it. Okay, for the billing purpose you can integrate it. But the virtual machine, when you deploy the virtual machine from portal and when you use that particular feature, so you are not going to deploy virtual machine with your stack. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what we'll do, we will stop here, and next week we'll continue with the next options. Okay, we will discuss virtual machine management, and after 2 weeks we'll try to take the class on Saturday, Sunday as well, because I'm busy with some office work, okay, on Sunday. So after 2 or 3 weeks we will do the Saturday and Sunday as well. Okay.
Okay, no issues.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah. If you
Hello,
have any doubt,
Yogesh.
any question, yes.
Yeah, so I don't have any contact number. If I want to talk with you or I want to discuss anything, then
Okay, just a minute. Okay, just give me a 1 minute.